You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week.
Hello, I'm Laura Painter. You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week. Free speech debate grows after ABC suspends Jimmy Kimmel's late night show. And in dollars and cents, time is running out for federal electric vehicle tax credits. Then we hit the back roads. John Bartel heads north of the California border to soak in the mineral tubs at Bagby Hot Springs in Oregon. ABC10 Plus Tonight starts right now.
Tonight, we're continuing our coverage surrounding Jimmy Kimmel's late night talk show that was preempted indefinitely by ABC last night. The move is becoming a political hot button issue. ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel's show after comments he made earlier this week on Jimmy Kimmel Live about the killing of Charlie Kirk. He suggested that the suspect in Kirk's killing might have been a pro-Trump Republican. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr is in the spotlight tonight for comments that may have led to this suspension. ABC's decision to suspend Kimmel has led to protests, including right here in front of ABC 10 studios, where people held up signs today, mostly protesting what they call an attack on free speech and the First Amendment.
Right now, it's Germany in the 30s. That's what's happening incrementally. Different things are being taken away from us, different controls, and they're using very explosive events to take control of everything.
Keep in mind, ABC 10 is an affiliate of ABC, but not owned by the network. Our station is owned by Tegna. Following the suspension, President Trump doubled down on his criticism of Jimmy Kimmel, saying the late-night ABC talk show host is not talented. Trump made the comment during a visit with the British Prime Minister in London. Here's what he said.
Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
Democratic leaders are also speaking out.
It is outrageous. It's a page right out of Xi's playbook. This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values. Trump and his allies seem to want to shut down speech that they don't like to hear. That is not what democracies do.
Now, legal experts and lawmakers are weighing in as questions grow surrounding the First Amendment and free speech. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen joins us in studio with more on the discussion.
Becca, some critics say Jimmy Kimmel's show was being preempted is against the law and a violation of free speech, while some supporters say ABC is a private company and they're able to pull any show they want.
It isn't just about one comedian or one television personality or any one network. It's about whether we as Americans still have the freedom to laugh at those in power.
Following the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel's show, U.S. Senator Alex Padilla and other Democratic leaders announced the No Political Enemies Act. The bill would reinforce the Constitution regarding protected free speech and prohibit the use of federal funds for any investigations or regulatory actions that would suppress protected speech.
So we're here to help protect that right for all Americans through legislation to prevent the President of the United States from punishing people for constitutionally protected speech.
Republican Assemblymember James Gallagher doesn't agree with Kimmel's show being pulled, but he says the FCC and the president are not to blame.
Private companies, like ABC and others, do have the ability to decide that they want to, what they want to show on their programming. So it's not a direct free speech issue where the government is involved.
In an interview on Thursday, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr said on CNBC, local TV stations should have more say on the network programming airing on their station.
Over the years, there's been a rule in place at the FCC that local TV stations get to preempt programming that they don't think meets the needs of their communities. But recently, these national programmers, ABC, Disney, Comcast, NBC, they've been exercising outsized control and power over those local TV stations, and there's been no pushback. And this is a very significant moment because local broadcasters are now pushing back national programmers for the first time that I can think of in modern history.
The organization Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression tells ABC10 this is the FCC getting in the way of free speech rights.
But the problem is, it appears that many of these folks are putting money over the Constitution and over the First Amendment. They are scared of provoking this administration into retaliating against them.
One constitutional law expert we spoke with believes Kimmel could take legal action if ABC decides to fire him.
Kimmel could sue ABC and he could have contractual remedies, and he could sue the federal government, and that would be under the Constitution. And he would seek money, and he could also seek a forward order saying, don't do it again. It's going to depend upon the facts. There certainly are facts out there showing that the FCC chair was making threats. But in an actual lawsuit, the question would have to do with what the cause was for the firing. And I do think it's possible that in this situation, we would have the corporation saying, oh, well, we would have done it anyway. And that would make it difficult to bring.
We have reached out to ABC for comment and continue to hear what we've reported last night. Quote, Jimmy Kimmel Live will be preempted indefinitely. Tonight, Bloomberg is reporting that Walt Disney executives will meet with Kimmel to assess the talk show's future. Also today, people have been pointing to a recent tweet from Brendan Carr in 2022 that said political satire is a form of free speech. We reached out to the FCC about this comment and have not received a response. Becca.
Ginny, thank you. The effort to ban mid-decade redistricting nationwide is growing. Today, California Democratic U.S. Senator Alex Padilla introduced legislation that would ban it and require every state to create an independent redistricting commission like California and several other states already have. His bill is similar to one a California Republican introduced last month.
Republican U.S. Representative Kevin Kiley of Rockland is against redrawing congressional district maps mid-decade. He introduced a bill last month to ban the practice nationwide.
It's so bad for democracy. It's so bad for representative government. It's so bad for the institution of the House.
This as California is holding a special election on November 4th, asking voters to temporarily bypass its independent redistricting commission for the next 3 elections and adopt proposed newly redrawn congressional maps. The goal to pick up 5 additional Democratic seats in the U.S. House of Representatives as a direct counter to Texas, which is redrawing maps to pick up 5 Republican seats. It's all about which party will control the House after the 2026 midterms, and other states are looking to redraw their congressional maps too.
It should be voters choosing the representatives, not the other way around.
On Thursday, California Democratic U.S. Senator Alex Padilla, joined by Senator Adam Schiff and other members of California's Democratic congressional delegation, reintroduced a bill called the Redistricting Reform Act of 2025. It's something co-author Democratic Representative Zoe Lofgren of San Jose has been trying to pass for 20 years. It would not only ban mid-decade redistricting, as Kiley's bill proposes, but also require each state to install its own independent redistricting commission.
Now, it can't just be one side that agrees to stop gerrymandering. It needs to be both.
Kiley says he generally supports the goals of Padilla's and Lofgren's bill and is open to working with them.
Coming up with a solution to end gerrymandering has to be bipartisan because both parties have been guilty of it.
He believes his bill would receive bipartisan support if Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson brought it to the floor for a vote, which he has thus far refused to do.
Now, Kiley says his bill would just have to pass before primaries begin next year. It doesn't have to pass before California's special election in order to still be effective. Kiley, by the way, is one of 5 California Republican representatives whose districts are targeted in the proposed redrawn maps.
In tonight's Dollars and Cents. There are less than 2 weeks left to get the federal electric vehicle tax credit. You have until the end of September to save more than $7,000 in incentives to buy an electric vehicle. An expert I talked with says now is a smart time to buy an EV. Now might be a great time to take the plunge if you've been thinking about getting an electric vehicle.
I'm kind of thinking of this like the Super Bowl of savings.
The federal EV tax credit of up to $7,500 for new EVs and up to $4,000 for used EVs ends after September 30th as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill.
You can go for a lease deal, which is sometimes a better deal than buying one outright. Takes away some of that worry when it comes to thinking about making a switch.
Keep in mind, only specific vehicles qualify for the federal tax credit, which you can check on this website, fueleconomy.gov. The Department of Energy says for new vehicles to qualify for the credit, they must be assembled in North America.
I think that you can find across the board, automakers are stepping in with extra incentives to really help people make that push. If you've been on the fence, you're going to save the most money by doing it now.
The credit is only available to buyers with an adjusted gross income of $150,000 or less, but the limit extends to $300,000 for married couples filing jointly. There's also a max retail price limit of $80,000 for vans, SUVs, and pickups, and $55,000 for all other vehicles. Does it still make sense to go electric?
It still makes a ton of sense to go electric. We're going to see more and more adoption. We have a lot of adoption in Sacramento. A lot of the areas where we were worried about whether there were enough charging stations, can you take a road trip? A lot of those worries are gone. That sort of fear of running out of electricity.
While the federal EV tax credit expires at the end of this month, California's working on state-level incentives to fill the gap. You can check for incentives specific to your area by visiting the website drivecleanca.gov. Keep in mind, California EV drivers are also about to lose another perk, carpool lane access. The DMV says clean air vehicle decals, which allowed solo EV drivers to use high occupancy lanes, will no longer be valid starting October 1st. Remember, your money questions have answers. Email me at lpainter@abc10.com and watch all of our Dollars and Cents coverage streaming now on the free ABC10 Plus TV streaming app. A West Coast pushback on federal vaccine guidance is underway. California, Oregon, Washington, and Hawaii are issuing their own recommendations for flu, COVID, and RSV vaccines.
Yeah, ABC10's Garjpal Sangha is live in the studio with more on what this all means. And Garjpal, you spoke to a local doctor on what parents should know, right?
Yeah, and Chris and Laura, as winter viruses loom, the West Coast is breaking away from the CDC. The governors are creating their own vaccine guidance, aiming to make vaccination safer, easier, and more accessible. 4 Democratic-led states formed the West Coast Health Alliance, issuing winter guidance for residents of all ages. Governor Gavin Newsom says the move is rooted in science, not politics.
In the face of federal leadership that has completely failed us, the West Coast is taking action, grounded in evidence and safety and transparency, issuing new recommendations for our residents, starting with a vaccine schedule for the winter virus season.
The recommendations include flu shots for everyone over 6 months, RSV protection for all babies, and COVID vaccines for children under 2 and adults over 65, and those with certain health risks, as well as anyone choosing protection. Meanwhile, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services defending federal policies, telling the Associated Press, quote, Democratic-run states that push unscientific school lockdowns, toddler mask mandates, and draconian vaccine passport during the COVID era completely eroded the American people's trust in public health agencies. HHS will ensure policy will be based on rigorous evidence and gold standard science, not the failed politics of the pandemic.
Well, the state is following the science and following the data, and they're aligning themselves with other professional organizations.
Dr. Dean Blumberg, Chief of Pediatric Infectious Diseases at UC Davis Health, welcomes the barriers removed for anyone who wants to get vaccinated. He urges parents to trust pediatricians, family doctors, and mainstream scientific organizations.
For parents who are hesitant, I want them to be confident. So they should talk to their trusted healthcare provider and bring any concerns that they have to them.
Governor Gavin Newsom also signed AB 144, letting California follow trusted medical groups, not just the CDC. The new law also requires state insurance companies cover recommended vaccines for free. And also tonight, one of the largest health insurance companies in the state is backing this plan. Blue Shield of California put out a statement saying it will continue in covering vaccines recommended by the state health experts.
A controversial bill that would ban law enforcement officers from wearing masks and thereby obscuring their identity is headed to the governor's desk. SB 627 aims to address concerns following recent immigration enforcement from the federal government. Local police officers have openly opposed the bill, and now they're hoping the governor will hear their plea to veto the bill. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen is here with details on what they're asking of the governor. Jeannie?
Becca, Senator Scott Wiener is the author of this bill and says this is to address the ongoing ICE raids that have been happening in the state. But now PORAC, the organization representing officers statewide, has sent the governor a letter asking him not to sign this bill into law, believing it would hurt their ability to do their job.
We sent a letter to the governor requesting a veto.
In this 9-page letter, Peace Officers Research Association of California, or PORAC, is asking Governor Gavin Newsom to not sign Senate Bill 627 into law.
Local law enforcement has become collateral damage between the state and the Trump administration. And the feds are not going to be affected by this bill. And then at the last minute, the state law enforcement officers were exempted. So this will only affect the local, municipal, and county officers.
If signed, this would prohibit officers from wearing masks while on the job, except for medical instances, SWAT operations, or undercover work. The California Highway Patrol is also exempt. But PORAC's main concern is that it will cause more liability for officers while on the job, and it will make it difficult to recruit and retain officers.
Somebody that's actually looking for wanting to be a peace officer in the state of California is probably going to reconsider, because why would you open yourself up to that type of liability?
Senator Scott Wiener says officers would only be liable in that case if they intentionally violate the law while wearing a mask, adding that local law enforcement typically do not wear masks.
With all respect to PORAC, I think that is really dramatic and overstated. The way to avoid any consequences under this bill is not to wear a ski mask. Like I said, I have never in my life seen an police officer on patrol wearing a ski mask.
Adding that it should not be difficult for officers to follow the rules.
If you feel like you need to wear a ski mask while you're out on patrol, interacting with the public, scaring the heck out of people, then you might try to consider an alternate line of work.
And we did reach out to the governor's office, but his office did not want to provide a comment on pending legislation. The Department of Homeland Security also calls on the governor to veto this bill, saying it's showing their faces will put them and their families at risk from being targeted by criminals, gangs, and terrorists. Becca.
Jeannie, thank you.
At the heart of traditional norteño music is the accordion. And traditionally, the accordion was played by a man.
People wanting to see, oh, can you do that? And they compare you to a man, and there shouldn't be a comparison. Rather, this is music, and we should be able to share that no matter what, whether I play more or less. It's universal, and that's what really counts.
Every pump of her 30-pound squeeze box is a reminder of how hard Marlene de Herrera had to work to get to the center stage of the family band, Los Reales del Norte.
She went inside her room. She stayed in there about 22 days. And she came out playing the accordion.
Born and raised in Modesto, Marlene grew up as a musician's daughter. In 1985, her father, Eusebio Rodriguez, a singer and a guitar player, started the highly successful norteño band, Los Reales del Norte. The band was touring the nation, but just as they were making a name for themselves, they lost their main accordion player and struggled to find a replacement.
I told my dad, I believe that I can do this job. I know that I've been playing here at home, kind of like as a hobby, but if you believe in me, I can do this. I can play accordion.
With just a few weeks under her belt, 16-year-old Marlene got her shot while the band was on a cross-country tour.
Truthfully, it didn't go well. It didn't go well. I became overwhelmed with people asking me for songs that I didn't know.
Fans of norteño music can be unforgiving. And that's because this northern Mexican music style has generational ties dating back to the late 19th century. One man that knows norteño history is Marlene's squeezebox repairman, the accordion doctor.
It originated from Germany and Poland. Because of its sound and beautiful tones, the Latin and Mexican heritage found love with it.
Jesse Alvarado says that in the late 19th century, German and Polish migrant workers settled in northern Mexico and Texas. They brought with them the accordion and polka rhythms, since the accordion was so small, portable, and essential for playing European polka music. Over time, the accordion became the defining instrument of norteño genre. As Mexico embraced the accordion, musicians modified the squeezebox over time, adapting it to play faster and push more air. That new sound became norteño because it was developed in northern Mexico.
It's everything. It could be a heartbreak song, it could be a love song, it could be a song talking about a story.
Norteño music is like a journal, with each generation adding its own entry to the story.
I have 24 records, which is about 30 songs on each record. She had to learn, and she did.
Marlene not only learned norteño songs of the past, but in a way, she's writing new norteño journal entries from a woman's perspective.
Men and women, we could play music together. That's a beautiful thing. And as I've been in this industry, there's people that have reached out to me to let me know, young girls, that just start going viral, and they let me know, you were someone that really inspired me.
I'm very proud. Yeah. God gave me a big gift in life.
For Hispanic Heritage Month in Modesto, I'm John Bartel.
Just 2 weeks after the Modesto Nuts played their last game at John Thurman Field, a new team is getting ready to take over.
And today we heard from officials with the Pioneer League for the very first time. They talked about why they chose Modesto and the big plans ahead. ABC 10's Gabriel Porras has more.
A round of applause outside Modesto City Hall Thursday as the mayor proclaimed,
"Let's play ball."
3 words that city leaders now feel like is a grand slam after striking out with the MLB's minor league. The Modesto Nuts leaving John Thurman Field for Southern California weeks ago after almost 80 years.
It was a unanimous vote, and it was really important for us to bring baseball, to keep baseball here in Modesto, not just bring it back.
The unanimous vote last week was to bring a Pioneer League team to John Thurman Field for at least the next 5 years.
Thank you guys for coming.
In Modesto Thursday, the new team's owner and the league president.
Well, this is a fabulous community, centrally located. And for the Pioneer League, the fact that the ballpark is just spectacular and that the community has supported minor league baseball in the past. And what we do is give these young players a chance to climb the ladder when most of their other options have been closed. It's a process of recruiting players, generally players who have either been overlooked in the major league draft or who were drafted but released for some reason.
When the new team starts in May, it'll already have a rival, the Oakland Ballers, but that's for now. League leaders hope to expand to more California cities.
And it's the only promise I'm going to make to you, is I promise you we will have fun. We are going to give back to this community. We are going to create opportunities for this community, and we want to make John Thurman Field a place that is open and frequented by the community, not just on the 48 home games.
A promise to keep the applause going from City Hall to the Diamond. In Modesto, Gabriel Porras, ABC 10.
And we're told the Pioneer League will get the keys to the field on October 1st, and they plan to hold a contest to decide the new team's name.
It's not a secret that this place exists. In fact, the geothermal water, the evergreen forest, and the utter seclusion has attracted people here for generations. But for anyone who wants to visit Bagby Hot Springs, it's going to require a long walk through Mount Hood National Forest in Oregon.
This place is amazing. In my opinion, best
water there is.
A mile and a half in and a mile and a half out. Caretaker Mona Pearson hikes across creeks and under old-growth Douglas fir trees several times a day to watch over the historic soaking tubs.
So this here is where all the hot water comes from for this bathhouse.
The aging cedar bathhouse is among many unique hot springs in Oregon. Wood flumes deliver 130-plus degree mineral water into a mix of primitive and modern plumbing that fills a series of barrel-shaped soaking tubs.
And so it comes out nice and hot. And then over here, we ran our cold water, which flows continuously throughout the year. And that comes from a source 1,000 yards up the mountain.
People come up here for all sorts of reasons.
It's the nature, right? I mean, you got sunshine coming through, the steam coming off the tub. It's beautiful, right? I mean, I came here when I was their age, even younger, like 6.
While some soak for the nostalgia and beauty, others come to contemplate the demons in life.
It helps clear my mind, put my mind at ease. I get to just relax, enjoy the moment.
When prospector Robert Bagby discovered the hot springs in 1881, he most likely took in the waters in a more primitive fashion. The cabins and the bathhouse would come much later, after the U.S. Forest Service claimed the land in the early 1900s.
The original tubs were carved out cedar logs. One of them was huge. One of them could hold like 6 or 7 people in it. It was huge.
Larry Miller is one of the managers of Bagby Preservation. He says in the early days, the Forest Service built a ranger station and several amenities to attract visitors. It took time, but eventually the word of the relaxing bathhouses got out.
And then about the mid-70s, the popularity really started picking up.
Like what happens to many popular public places, Bagby was loved to death. Overcrowding, maintenance on the buildings, and a forest fire became too much for the short-staffed Forest Service to handle.
And then the Friends of Bagby started getting formed, and then it entered the modern-day history of Bagby.
Larry says when the Forest Service talked about closing the hot springs, the Friends of Bagby was formed, a group of volunteers that renovated and managed the property for several years until it was passed on to concessionary groups that continue to keep it open today.
1974, I'd just gotten out of the military, and some friends and me, we all went up there, and that summer shaped the rest of my entire life as far as family, friends, everything.
It's no secret that Bagby Hot Springs is a popular place to visit, but what's unknown is how you'll feel after soaking in the secluded tubs.
From Bagby Hot Springs, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Thank you so much for watching ABC 10 Plus this week. We're here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. You can get your local news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Laura Painter. Take care. I'll see you next time.